This time, as we look at finding percents, the questions are asked a little bit differently. We already have the wholes. We're looking for what percent is that of it. 10 is what percent of 25. This is a ratio relationship. 10 is how much of 25 if you were to compare those two. Okay, so as we are asking what percent of 25 is that, we just break apart this sentence. I believe this is the easiest way to look at it, is just breaking it apart. So 10, of course, equals 10. Now, in algebraic relationships and ratios, as we're looking, is going to be that equivalent sign, what we know as equal. And then what percent? This is what we're looking for. So this is our unknown. So blank percent of, if you remember back to multiplying, of is a multiplication symbol, 25. Okay. So we've changed that. 10 is what percent of 25 to 10 equals something percent times 25. Okay. Now, as we have this, it kind of looks a little unfamiliar to us. This is part of algebra, algebraic reasoning. So as we have this equivalent sign, what we do on one side we have to do to the other. We can manipulate this to isolate or to get alone this blank percent, because that's what we're trying to find. So on one side I see blank times 25. I want to get rid of that. I want to bring that over to the other side. So in order to do that, I just divide, because timesing, the inverse operation is division, divide by 25. And that makes it so that timesing by 25, dividing by 25, cancels out to equal 1. That's a beautiful thing when we have ones, because any number in the world times 1 or divided by 1 doesn't change it. So we can get this down to a 1, which simplifies that out. But if I do something to one side of that equivalent sign, I need to do it to the other side. So I divided this side by 25, therefore I divide this side by 25. Now we have 10 divided by 25, or 10 25ths, equals blank percent. That's what we want to find. So now we have 10 25ths. Let's just simplify that by looking for something that goes into both those numbers. So 10 over 25, I know that 5 goes into both of those numbers. So I'm just going to simplify this fraction by dividing 10 and 25 by their greatest common factor. 10 divided by 5 equals 2. 25 divided by 5 equals 5. So 2/5 equals blank percent. Well, 2/5, how many times does 5 go into 100? Because percent means out of 100. So 5 goes into 100 20 times. If I times the bottom, I gotta times the top. So 2 times 20 is 40. So 40%, or 40 out of 100, 10 is 40% of 25. Okay, let's change that, and let's do it one more time as we go through it. Some new concepts, algebraic concepts in here, and that's just fine. Okay, so let's look at, say, I don't know, 14 is what percent of 20? Okay. So we have the wholes here. We're looking for the percent. First thing to do is to find out what each thing means. So 14 equals, stands for equals, blank percent, that's our unknown, times 20. Okay, I'm trying to get this by itself. This is what I want to know, without anything timesing it, or adding it, or subtracting it, etc. So if I have this times 20, I can divide this by 20, and make that into a 1. If I do something to one side of that equivalent sign, I need to do it to the other. So 14 20ths equals something percent. Let's look at simplifying this. 14 20ths, 2 goes into both 14 and 20, so I'm going to divide by 2. Divide by 2, that equals 7. That equals 10. So 7 tenths equals what percent? Percent means out of 100, so I want to make this out of 100. 10 times 10 equals 100, so if I do something to the bottom, I do it to the top of the equivalent sign. 7 times 10 equals 70. So 14 is 70% of 20. And that's how you can find the percent of a number when it is written like that. 14 is what percent of 20?